Welcome to the worst writer in the world with me, Rufus. And he's unemployed. He's standing in line, but he's seen something on the back of a book of matches about learning computers in an hour well enough to steal all the money in the world. It's
Howard Richlong.
Thank you to the British Comedy Guide for hosting this show. Thanks to all of our lovely patrons on Patreon for supporting this show. I went a bit too fast then. And thanks to you for listening to this show.
You're the best. Like the second best after the people.
Third best.
The third best after the people who pay and the people who just aren't you.
Fourth best, because the unmentioned group, all those people who don't listen and aren't aware of our existence.
Yeah. At least the people that aren't aware of our existence aren't paying us for a very good reason. What's yours?
Yeah, they don't tell their friends about our show because they don't know it exists.
Yeah, because you haven't told
What's your
them.
excuse?
At least go and tell them, so they can not give us money too.
So first, patrons, they're the best ones, right? Because they give us money. Second, British Comedy Guide, because they save us money.
Yes.
Third, everyone else in the world who doesn't know we exist because they've got an excuse for not caring about us. Yeah. And fourth, you. You. And another thanks this week, an extra thanks to go on the list, which is thanks to Ben Shillito for letting us know. When we recorded this on live stream so that members of our secret gang could watch us recording it. It was very exciting. And you could have been part of that for just $2, but you missed out.
You cheapskate.
But Ben Shillito let us know that the reason that Gus has a yo-yo at the beginning of the movie is so that later he can use it to puppet the security guard when he has to do the 2-key problem, which is going to happen in this episode, by the way. Because, that's something that needs setting up, isn't it? Where Gus got that bit of string from, right? Not every other thing in the film. None of that needed setting up at all. None of that needed to make sense. But what? Oh, yeah, I'm watching this movie going, wait a minute, Superman 3. Where could Gus possibly get a bit of string from? I never thought twice about that. I've watched this film loads of times, and I just went, he's got a bit of string. Yeah, there's string everywhere. Right? He's in an office. Of course there's string. It probably took him 3 seconds to find it. That never occurred to me. Then Ben Shillito point, and you watch it, and he's right. That is a yo-yo he's using. That's why he's got a yo-yo.
He's yo-yo villain.
Also
that's his thing. He uses it for everything. I mentioned that actually he uses it to kind of abseil in one of the final scenes.
But that doesn't happen, right? Aren't you wrong about that?
He does. He escapes the exploding computer by putting his yo-yo over a piece of wire that's there for no apparent reason, and he does he? And he does what's it called?
Okay.
Zip line. He zip lines away.
Zip lining,
I swear he does.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Everybody at home, go watch it and let us know in some comments
for the
somewhere.
third time.
Yeah,
go watch Superman 3 for the third time. That makes sense. It's Superman 3. You got to watch it 3 times. Okay. But again, I watched this movie looking for mistakes and things to criticise, and I didn't think, where did he get that bit of string from? No. Even though I did not know it was a yo-yo, and I didn't think, how did he zip line down that thing? Because so many other stupid things are happening. Yeah. You're like, he used a bit of wire or a bit of string that was lying around. I would have been fine with that too, if it happens. What I did think was, why is he using that yo-yo at the beginning? That makes no sense. That was a question I did ask.
Yeah.
But, how he got those bits of string later on, not interested. So I feel like the solution to this problem created a bigger problem. Anyway, shall we get on with the second part of our Superman 3 retelling, Howard?
Yes, please.
Part 2. Oh, hey, Superman's in this movie. Right, so Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are on a bus to Smallville. Yes. But the bus has to stop because a chemical plant is on fire. Fortunately, Superman is here. He probably has a power that can put out fires. Maybe a power he's already demonstrated in this movie. Maybe his ice breath, which he's already used to put out a fire in a non-roundabout way. By just blowing on the fire.
Definitely.
So that's probably what he'll do here, because it's been set up that's if he encounters a fire, he puts it out by blowing on it with ice breath. Right? That we know that because we literally saw it in the previous Like a couple of scenes ago when he did it
he's definitely,
to the
well, he's going to
penguin.
do it then. He's definitely going to do it, isn't he? He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
But the thing is, no, he doesn't even consider putting out the fire. He starts flying around and saving people individually. Yeah, good plan, Superman. Well done. Oh, and also, in this movie, he does not have super speed. Like many iterations of Superman, but in fact what he has is he can't even move at regular speed because the flying technology is so poor. So he's flying around slowly, like getting one person at a time, right? But it gets worse because it's not just that there's a lot of people and he's rubbish, right? There's a bigger problem because then he finds a room full of buckets of green slime.
Yes.
Right? The slime room.
With a man.
Where a scientist... there's a scientist there who appears to be looking after the buckets of green slime. That's his job. Look after the green slime.
What does that mean, though? What does that mean? Why is he there? He's got to stay there.
Well, he says he's got to stay there because if those buckets of slime get too hot... they'll turn into a cloud of smoke that will eat through anything. Steel, concrete, supermen, anything.
But he's not stopping them from getting hot, though, is he? He's serving
he's just
purpose.
watching them.
Yeah, sort of watching
he's
them.
just watching them.
Yeah.
So what we need, Superman, is, we need something that can cool these tubs of acid down really quickly.
Yeah.
So do you have a power that can cool things down quite quickly, really fast? If they get too hot, that's like explicitly stated. The problem is if they get too hot, they'll turn into a gas that will eat through anything, murder everyone, destroy all the buildings. So,
you want me to use my laser eyes on them, perhaps?
No. A power that can cool things down, Superman. Something maybe you've done before. And he thinks,
fly around them very slowly?
No. Should I kiss them? Should I kiss their memory away? No. Superman thinks, yes, I know what I have. Yeah. I have the power of ice breath, and that's the perfect power to solve this particular problem, because what I can do... What I can do is I can fly to a lake. Right? Yeah. I can fly to a lake, freeze the lake.
Brilliant.
Pick up a lake. The lake. Carry the lake back here and drop the lake onto the fire. So thanks, Superman, you fucking genius. What I've learned from this movie is next time I have an oil fire in my kitchen, what I need to do is use my power of going to the shop, picking up a bag of ice, paying for the ice, carrying the ice back home and dropping the ice cubes onto the frying pan.
It does seem like a great plan because the thing is, like, steam's really cold, isn't it? Famously. Honestly, but if you put ice onto fire and you put the fire out, doesn't it then create a load of really, really hot steam? Is that not true? I mean, I'm not. Oh, I'm not a scientist.
You should have been involved in writing this film as well. You could have fit in quite well with these two writers who know nothing about how anything works.
I think like the flames are not near, but steam like moves quickly. So if you put out that fire and all that steam just goes and finds those buckets of slime, then
what you've got to remember is though that he's not trying to put out the fire, and he never was. He was never interested in putting out the fire. He was saving people, and then he was trying to cool those things down.
He was just
his plan to cool the things down was to drop a big ice lake on them.
He was interested in the photo opportunity from Jimmy Olsen to photograph him carrying that lake.
Carrying a lake. Yeah, he was interested in setting up some jokes for us in the future.
Yeah.
Imagine if he just used his ice breath and no jokes whatsoever.
When Superman flies around that scene, what he does is he picks up a boiling hot tube which has been on fire, right, and then gets a load of people to get in it. It's like, get in this.
Slide down
this
in a boiling hot tube.
Super hot
boiling hot metal tube.
Get in. They should come out.
They all come
melted.
out cooked. They all come out like cooked chickens tied up because it's a cartoon.
But the best scene in that is there's this extra playing a policeman who stood guarding the front of the building so nobody gets in. And before they go in, like Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen duck down beside this car, right in front of this guy who just stood there looking at them. And he goes like, I'm going to go in there. No one's going to stop me. And he does, and he gets him, and he runs in literally right past this guy into this place. And the guy kind of watches him go in. It's like,
really,
yeah, it's amazing. This extra.
The thing is, another thing that I saw in the documentary that I watched a bit of because I got bored and stopped, but I watched the bit about this scene, was that a lot of those police officers and firefighters were actual real firefighters and police officers, because they were filming this at an actual chemical plant that was super dangerous, and all those fires are real, and all it would have taken was the wind to change, and they would have actually had a massive chemical disaster for real. And Superman's not doesn't exist, so wouldn't have been able to save them. Apparently, it was really stupidly dangerous. Yeah. Because health and safety didn't exist in the past, and idiots think that was a good thing. I remember the good old days when we could set fire to chemical plants, and kill everyone. And now, like the EU won't let you, will they?
Yeah. There's a comedy fire chief in it who's like, who when he sees Superman is not like in any way shocked or surprised. He's like, "Oh, Superman."
Well, he does. His line is. He hears him behind him, and he's like, "Get this guy a helmet." He doesn't say, "Who's that?" He doesn't say, "Who's that?" or "Get rid of him." He's like, "Get this guy," and then he turns around at Superman. He says, "Don't worry about the helmet." So he gets his gag line in,
brilliant.
Like while everyone's dying on fire. Next up, cut to Clark is at his reunion where he sees his mum, Annette O'Toole. And he remembers how he used to fancy his mum when he was in high school and makes a play for her. All right, so do you know why I'm?
Because she plays Martha Kent in
Smallville, in the TV show Smallville. Yeah. And I did watch a lot of that, so I'm very familiar with her in that character. So watching Superman chat up Annette O'Toole is disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, leave your mum alone, Superman.
Yeah, it's because, like, he's first of all, he's chatting up his grandma, isn't he? But then, like, he sees his mum and he's like, "Oh, I'll get on with her then." Because his grandma, he's talking to his grandma and she's, like, really disappointed when he ditches her to go chat up someone else. That's what happens in that scene, I remember. She's like, "Oh,
well, there's not a lot of people in Smallville. There's like 4 people that you see in Smallville, except in that scene where Gus is pretending to be a general where suddenly there's loads. But most of the time there's no one there, right?
Yeah.
But also, it turns out his mum's real name is Lana Lang. Because Superman only fancies people who have 2 names, both of which start with an L. So look out, Lex Luthor. You're next. All right, now, in this scene, Christopher Reeve does some of the best comedy dancing I have ever seen in my life, right? It's incredibly good. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's like I was trying to think of other like iconic comedy dancing moments that rival this, and I think I could only think of 3, and even one of them I'm not. I really struggle with this. So the first one, obviously, when you say iconic comedy dancing, it's Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Fucking brilliant, always hilarious. Secondly, Ross and Monica from Friends, their routine that they did at the New Year's thing, right? That's really funny.
That's really good.
And thirdly, Mr. Fluck, inventor of the famous point and shrug dance. Right?
Yeah, that's some good dancing.
They're only things that can possibly rival this amazing dance that he does. It's so good, and like I don't know how he even came up with it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and
I could watch it for hours.
And this is Christopher Reeve's attempt to make Superman less of a foolish character and more serious, right? Because he's shaking his bum, right, and somehow, for some reason, his bum looks bigger than it should when he dances. It's like it inflates. Yeah.
So after the dance, Clark tells Lana that he's disappointed that the 2 of them never boned in high school. But also, I don't know if you noticed this, but they're at their high school reunion. So on the wall, there's pictures of them all as young, when they were at high school. And there's a picture of young Christopher Reeve. But we know that's not what he looked like at high school, right? Yes. We know from Superman 1 that when Clark Kent was in high school, he was a completely different 40-year-old man.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
He wasn't young Christopher Reeve. He was a different 40-year-old man. So why don't they have that guy's picture on the wall so we can all be really confused about who he is again? Right? Like we were in Superman 1, where we were going for the first 10 minutes, going, "Who's that? Why is he flying? Why did he just turn into Christopher Reeve? That's weird."
Oh my god, yeah, that would have been amazing. That's a good point. They should have done that. Like maybe when George Lucas kind of like remasters it, he'll like put the photograph of the other kid in, like he did with Hayden Christensen. And...
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Oh my god.
That'd be because also they don't talk about the picture, so there'd be no comment on it. There'd just be this guy on the wall. You would have to be really eagle-eyed to be like, "Is that the actor from Superman 1 who, for some reason, played young's Clark Kent.
I'm pretty sure there's like that's what practically the only photograph on the wall, isn't it? Isn't it just Clark Kent and the bad jock character? Are there any other people's photographs up?
I think there are a few, but there's not. I mean, there's not many people there. Yeah. There's only like 4 people at the dance.
Is it?
Because no one lives in Smallville.
It's not called Bigville.
All right, so meanwhile, Gus's boss, Napoleon Solo, knows that someone stole $85,000 from him using computers. Unfortunately, there's no way he can work out who did it. There's no way he can know who used a computer to write a check for $85,000 made out to Gus Corman. It's a fucking mystery, right? But he says, sooner or later, says Napoleon Solo, right? The thief will slip up. They'll do something foolish to give themselves away. I don't know, like writing a check to themselves in their own name for the exact amount stolen. No, something else. Yeah. Something else. It's only a matter of time. And he's right, because then Gus drives up to work in his new bred sports car. Right? The one mistake this otherwise criminal mastermind made. And because of the car, not because of the check in Gus Gorman's name, but because of the car, Napoleon Solo, Napoleon Nolo. Then, cut to, Clark is in the bowling alley with Lana Lang and her rubbish son. Right? Her rubbish son, who is rubbish, especially at bowling. Yeah. So firstly, he throws a few complete misses. Like, he's just the worst. Like, he's just the worst bowler who's ever lived. And so then Clark has the cunning plan of sneezing the ball straight at the pins with such force that they're obliterated. Into dust. Explode into dust. Yeah.
Everybody watches him do it.
And then they all like, yeah, well done, kid. You threw a really good ball. You were rubbish before. You couldn't get it. You couldn't keep it out of the gutters. But then this time, that one that smashed all the pins and they exploded. That was really good. Like any normal kid, well done. Congratulations. You don't suck anymore.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I mean, why did they either not go, oh, that guy next to him, Superman, or that kid, Superman? One of the two. That kid must be Superman. He probably just took his glasses off so he could see the pins properly and then blew them up into dust.
Yeah.
But no, because they don't know how things work, they don't know how people work, they don't know how Superman works, they're just like, he blows up the pins with the ball and everyone's like, well done, kid. Congratulations, you got it right at last.
Nothing to see here, move along. No, she doesn't go like, she stood there and watches it. She doesn't go, Clark, did you just sneeze that bowling ball?
I just want to watch it. No, I didn't do it. I just watched you do it. Are you telling me my kid? Are you telling me my kid has superpowers? Because if he does, I need to deal with that.
Because you went chew really loudly, and then wind came out of your nose,
covering it by drawing attention to yourself. Not just going, going chew, explode.
Yeah.
Clark, I think you're Superman.
Hold on, come here, let me give you a kiss.
That's
Who
the
am
thing.
I?
Oh, that fuck. I mean, that should have been a running gag in this movie. Clark keeps giving himself away by doing really stupid stuff and then snogging people's memories away. And not just Lana Lang, but loads of people. Right?
Yeah, anyone.
This is some construction worker sees him getting changed, like blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Oh, where am I? Fuck. Okay, where's my girder gone?"
That kid gets the photograph at the start.
Come here, Cut 2. Gus is called to see the big boss because he stole that money and bought a sports car. We open the scene with Napoleon Solo doing a big speech about how rich he is. But then he tells Gus that he's not rich enough. He wants to be richer. And so he wants Gus to use computers to destroy all of Columbia's coffee. Like using computers. You know how computers work, right?
Yeah,
you know, you just hack into the coffee of another country and press delete. Right?
I mean, that would make more sense. That would make more sense than what they do.
Yeah, no, that's Napoleon Solo's idea, but no, that won't work. So Gus is like, well, maybe we could hack a weather satellite, right, and change the weather. Because the writers of this movie heard the phrase weather satellite and didn't know what that meant. They didn't know it was for tracking weather systems, not for controlling it. They're like, oh, weather satellites. That's probably how you control weather.
Yeah, I mean, but this is a weather satellite like none other, though, is it? This is a weather satellite that can make money come out of banks. Right?
Yeah, and make the lights in pedestrian crossings come
become sentient and have a fight. Yeah, that kind of weather satellite.
Absolutely.
What if the weather satellite?
Of course, it can control the weather. That's the least of its powers.
What if it's the weather satellite bestows sentience on crossing lights? Yeah. Good
True.
one.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
Oh, good.
So of course, in this movie, of course, you can use a weather satellite to control the weather, but you can only do it from a computer in Smallville.
Yeah.
And so the next bit of the plot is established. We're getting our characters in the same place. None of them need to be there. None of them are there for a particular reason, but they're all going to Smallville because I guess it's cheaper to film in a place that looks like Smallville.
Yeah, none of them. It's not even like one of them needs to be there. None of them do.
No, not a single one of them.
They don't even really cross paths, do they? Richard Pryor and Superman. They kind of vaguely do, but not at all.
Not until he starts pretending to be a general, which he could have done anywhere.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, even like Lana Lang could have been his friend from Smallville, who's just moved. I mean, they talk about doing it. She's moved to Metropolis, and she's, he's helping her out.
Where they keep the weather satellite stations. And
yeah,
things.
Obviously, of course. Yeah, they wouldn't keep it in Smallville because that's a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, at the Daily Planet, 2 people win the Jingo Bingo, which, let's not forget, is a raffle. And the prize is a trip to South America. Ooh. And that's a good prize because South America, right, is a whole continent with a lot of countries. So it's going to take quite a lot of time for them to go to the whole place, right? And I should know because I once got the bus from Quito in Ecuador to Santiago in Chile, which is less than half the length of South America, and it took 5 days and 5 nights.
Wow.
Now, it should have took 4 days and 4 nights, but the bus caught fire in the Atacama Desert. And for more on this story, see, a Secret Gang podcast. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll patch it in here as an example of the kind of thing you're missing because you are not in the Secret Gang. So here's an extract from an old Secret Gang podcast, and there's lots more like this if you sign up for just $7 a month. I lived in Costa Rica, right, which is in Central America, and I wanted to go to Chile, which is the south part of South America, which is quite a long way. But it's really expensive to fly, so I got the bus.
And it's impossible, of course, unless you're Superman.
Well, I thought I was Superman at the time, so I was like, but it's so expensive to be Superman because you've got to eat a lot of sandwiches to have enough energy to fly. That's what
pants, as we know, are really expensive.
You got to wear them outside. You got to have the right pants. I got a bus that was supposed to be 4 days and 4 nights journey without.
You sleep on the bus.
You sleep on the bus, yeah. 2 drivers, so that there wasn't just one guy going crazy with amphetamines. And they only stopped for meal time. It's not all meals, but like maybe 2 meals a day we stopped for, and then like sandwiches on the bus or something. And so it was mostly driving.
Like Snowpiercer.
Yeah, it was very, very similar to Snowpiercer. And the weird thing was that like halfway down the bus was a load of women getting their hair done, and like near the front there was a disco. It was really odd. And then like Ed Harris was driving, but he wasn't driving. He was just kind of sitting there, like looking at nothing,
having sushi with that.
Yeah. Obviously, at the back of the bus, Captain America was eating babies.
Yeah,
that was disturbing. No, it was like on something like the 3rd day where we were driving, 3rd or 4th day, we were driving through the desert in the north of Chile, which is the driest desert in the world, and
it was 6 o'clock in the morning, so it was light, but we were all asleep on the bus, and I woke up to someone shouting, "The bus is on fire," but in Spanish. So and I did speak Spanish, but it takes a moment for your Spanish brain wakes up slower than your English brain. So it's like you're going, the bus is on
fume.
El buso es on fume. Yeah, that is exactly what he said. Yeah, he wasn't Spanish. It turned out in the end. When I woke up, I was like, that's Howard. What's he doing here? No, someone shouted the bus is on fire, and so the bus pulled over, side of the road, in the middle of the desert, and we all got off. And the bus drivers went to the back of the bus and looked at it. But they're not mechanics, they're drivers. And a couple of blokes went and stood next to them and looked at it as well. And it was this real peak man moment where they all just kind of looked at it for half an hour. And I'm over by the door with all the women having a fag, and we're looking at these blokes going, I don't think they know what they're doing. I think they're just looking at it.
Put it out.
It'd gone out. It had gone out when the bus stopped.
And so they just some cactuses and got the water out.
Yeah, they squeezed cactuses on it. Yeah. And it went out, so that was good. No, they didn't have to do anything. They just went and looked at it for half an hour, and then eventually the driver goes, "Right, it's fine, everyone, get back on the bus." And we're going, I don't think they did anything. I think they just looked at it for half an hour. Yeah. But we're in the middle of the desert, so we've got no choice. So we get back on the bus and start driving. And about 10 minutes later, the same guy at the back goes, "The bus is on fire again!" And the bus driver's like, "No, it's fine, don't worry, we're going to carry on, don't worry, it's fine." And he refused to stop. So everyone on the bus kind of piled forward to the front, and we're all sitting right behind him. The bus driver, and we're just sitting there going, we're looking behind, seeing if we're going to explode or anything. But from his point of view, he couldn't do anything about it, and he was in the middle of the fucking desert, and this is pre-wide mobile phone coverage. There's no way he's getting a signal out here, so he's got to get to the next truck stop or we're going to die. Those are the two choices. There's if I keep driving, there's a chance we're all going to die, but if I stop, we're definitely going to. So we keep going, and the bus did kind of carry on burning, but quite slowly. Right. And we did get there, and it was fine. We got to the truck stop, and we'd been on the road for 4 days at this point, and we had to stop at this truck stop in the middle of the desert and wait for someone to come from Santiago, which was the bus's final destination, which was still about 20 hours away, to fix the bus. Right? So we all just went, oh, there's a cafe there. We went to the cafe. There was a petrol station which had a shower, so everyone went and used that. Some of us people had got on the bus at different places, but some of us have been on it for 4 days. We really needed a shower. And we just kind of sat around until dark, and then we went to sleep on the bus. We woke up when we heard someone hammering the bus. It's oh, he must have arrived. And then it's early next morning, it set off again, and we arrived in Santiago the next day 24 hours late because the bus had caught fire. So that was an adventure. In a kind of very passive though. I didn't really do anything. I just followed instructions and worried about dying.
I spilled some crisps.
We're getting ready to go now.
Having just listened to that, I was surprised that that Superman didn't put out that fire on your bus by flying to a lake, freezing the lake, picking up the lake, bringing the lake, and then dropping the lake on the bus.
It's true, but the Atacama Desert is quite big and very dry, and the nearest lake is more than just 5 miles away. So it would have been a bigger. Maybe he could have just used his ice breath instead. Part 3. There's only 2 people living in Smallville, and that's why Clark Kent is dating his mum. All right, so we're on a picnic. With Clark and Lana. Clark immediately grabs a pot of pate and shoves his fingers in, licking the pate off his fingers, right? And then shoves them back in. He puts his fingers in the pate, licks it off his fingers, and then it goes in for a second go. That is so disgusting.
It was pre-COVID, this movie.
That was always disgusting. That people got annoyed about people double dipping with crisps or chips and stuff. That's worse if it's fingers. It's much worse if it's fingers. And quite frankly, I'm glad it turned out to be dog food. Because because dogs don't mind eating stuff off your fingers, because dogs are disgusting as well. So thank goodness it's not pate when Clark Kent sees something he thinks is pate, just rams his fingers in and starts eating it, and then it turns out he's eating dog food.
Because, of course, he's Superman, and he's not from
got super
around
smell, of
our
course.
planet, so he's not encountered dog food before. He doesn't know.
Yeah, so anyway, when he's finished eating the dog food and he's got that lovely dog food breath, he starts putting the moves on his part.
Doesn't he?
Right. Yeah, but I mean, unsurprisingly, she's not that into it, right? Because like he's all like, "Oh, do you want to have a bit of a snog with my dog? I've just finished eating your dog food. Do you want to have a bit of a snog?" And she's like, "Oh, something's wrong with my car."
Yeah.
Right over there, I can see something in my parked car. Something's wrong with it. I better go and look at it. And so they go and look at the car. Right?
Yeah, they do. That's what distracts her.
Yeah, that is absolutely. It's really odd and it's really unnatural, and it can only be that she's doing it because he's got dog food.
Not
breath,
not like the sound of her son falling over and injuring himself or something.
No, because he's too far away. Because he's run 8 miles away in the cornfield. Right, he is so far away. But fortunately, Clark has a superpower of knowing when a child is unconscious, right? And he uses that now to know that Lana Lang's kid is unconscious, right? He's fallen over in the cornfield 8 miles away and hit his head against a rock somehow.
That shouldn't be there because it's a cornfield.
Should not be
right?
there. No, absolutely. That's gonna damage the combine harvesters when they murder that child. So yeah, by the way, there's a bunch of combine harvesters coming. Unfortunately, can I go and play in the cornfield, Mum? Yeah, but make sure you go in that one over there. There's a load of death machines coming. No, go 8 miles away. It's quite a long journey. Try not to get hit by a rock on your way. Yeah, anyway, so you might be thinking this is not a big problem. Clark can use his super speed and flying powers to save the kid, no probs. Right? We've already seen how good he is at flying to things and picking up those things. when he flew to a lake and picked up the lake earlier, that's been set up.
Yeah.
So he's probably gonna fly to the child, pick up the child, carry the child, and hopefully not drop that child on a fire. But we know he's got the skills. Unfortunately, what we also learned when Clark flew to a lake, froze the lake, picked up the lake, and carried the lake back to the chemical fire to drop it on the fire, was that Clark doesn't really like doing things the most straightforward and obvious way. Why just use your ice breath to put out a fire when you could get a lake involved, right? So Clark doesn't just fly over and pick up the kid. Yeah. Clark destroys a combine harvester instead. He just like completely breaks this combine harvester, and then he takes a moment to make the driver feel bad about how he was going to accidentally murder a kid who Clark and Lana probably shouldn't have let play in a cornfield that was being harvested anyway, right? No, but the driver's like, "Oh shit, I feel really bad," and Superman looks at him like you fucking murderer, and says nothing and flies away
because he's evil. Remember?
Yeah.
He's a bad guy.
Sorry, I forgot that part. Yeah,
I'm surprised he doesn't just laser the guy.
How dare you do your job in a field that I let a kid play in, despite there being combine harvesters there.
I bagsied murdering this child. You're not going to do it.
I already tried to get him when I blew up those bowling pins at him, but somehow he survived that. But yeah, it's not like combine harvesters appear out of nowhere, is it? They're not like quiet, like stealth machines. Right? They must have known about them. It's like, "Mum, can I go and play in the field with the giant murder machines while the corn is so high I'll be invisible to the driver?" It's like, "Yeah, sure, son. I'll be here with Clark eating this dog food." All right, then we cut back to Gus. Gus Gorman has travelled to Smallville so that he can use the Smallville weather satellite computer to control the weather.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
And other things. Many other things.
Other things in bed, yes. But first, before he can control the weather using that satellite, he has to get past one security guard. Yeah, he's going to have to use his clever acting and cunning plans to get past one drunk security guard. Fortunately, Gus has brought a suitcase full of alcohol. So the guard lets him in immediately with no problem, and Gus feeds the guard alcohol until he passes out. and then steals his keys. It is incredibly easy.
It's amazing. You notice in that scene when he's outside dressed as an alcohol salesman and he's got his alcohol, he's putting on a voice, but as soon as he lets him in, he just stops.
Stops bothering.
It's really weird.
It's really weird. And where does he get that big hat from? Right? When they get drunk together, he's suddenly wearing a big stupid comedy hat. That just appears when he gets drunk. Yeah. That's just a sign. Again, the writers don't understand how things work. So they've seen drunk people wearing stupid hats, and they think that just happens. When you drink enough, a hat appears out, like grows out of your head. That's a side effect of alcohol. Yeah. So Gus steals the weather control keys.
Yeah, the weather satellite that can bring traffic lights to life, give away money, and operate weather.
Yeah, let's not forget this. But no, they're not going to make that computer too easy to use. They messed up when they only got one security guard to protect it. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But they did do one other thing to make sure that if you want to use the weather control computer, you're going to have to insert 2 keys at the same time.
Yes.
So if you're a criminal, no criminals have a friend.
Yeah,
no criminals work in pairs.
It's going to be fair. That's why they only have one security guard, because they know that criminals are fair, so they'll only send one criminal.
No, that makes sense. That does make sense. It's not that the criminal they only have one security guard, because if they employ 2, they could control.
They would do.
As long as there's only one, he can't, because of the brilliant key plan. Right. Well, they should have had 10 keys and had 9 security guards, shouldn't they? That would have been a better plan.
But if there's 2 security guards and they get a bit drunk and say, "Hey, Steve, do you want to make some traffic lights come to life?"
What? Come on, we can do it with the weather computer. Wait a minute, we use the weather satellite, which just tracks weather systems to bring traffic lights to life. Yeah, you'll love it. Come on. Oh, we can give random people loads of money as well. But Gus has got a plan.
Yeah.
Gus has got a plan that makes no sense and defies physics, but apparently uses his yo-yo, so that's good.
Oh yeah.
But he uses the passed out security guard, and he uses a bit of string to be able to insert the key at the right moment. It's utterly ridiculous. It makes no sense.
It seems like using the security guard would make it harder, right? And maybe he should have just gone with the string part. Just the string bit was fine.
He tries to use his foot at one point, but he doesn't try very hard. He doesn't take his shoe off or anything. But I feel like that was the way to do it.
Yeah,
Get
and he
your
doesn't.
toes
And then
around
my
it.
favourite one, he doesn't just move them closer together, because he doesn't at least try, because there's no
Doesn't even
proof.
try
There's
that,
no proof that they're nailed down or anything.
Yeah, I tell you what. When I remember, this is another scene that really sticks out in my memory. That if you say, what do you remember about Superman 3? It'd be like, well, this, the big computer in the Grand Canyon, the lake bit, Yeah. But this really stands out, and I think as a kid, I kind of expected that adult life would involve more situations where I'd have to put 2 keys into something at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so far, I've lived quite a lot of my adult life. So far, that hasn't happened. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
Really annoyed. Because I know how to do it. Just need a drunk man and a yo-yo.
Yeah.
So basically, Gus has his brilliant plan to get the 2 keys in at once. It works. And now Gus has control of everything in the world. All right, so cut to Colombia, which, incidentally, is in South America. Ooh. Which means those American raffle bingo winners are there.
Yeah.
And the woman says, "Oh, look, a native wedding. Let's crash it."
Does she?
She doesn't say those words, but it's like, "Oh, look, a native wedding. Let's go and look at it like it's a performance for tourists rather than a significant day in someone's life. Let's go and look at the native wedding. Look, natives, right? Natives in Colombia." Colombia is a Catholic country.
Yeah.
So this is a couple of Americans going, "Oh, this will be a unique fucking cultural experience for us, seeing a Christian wedding."
Yes.
"Oh, it'll be so exciting. Christianity. I've never heard of anything so exotic."
Look at the tree people are getting married. Yeah.
So they gate crash someone's wedding. Brilliant. They gate crash a Christian wedding in another country because they think they're going to get some cultural fucking currency from it. But then, unfortunately, before well, they decide to, but before they can actually ruin someone's wedding day,
Yeah.
something else ruins their wedding day because it starts raining because Gus is using a computer to control the weather. He's done all that weird stuff about making lights come to life, and now he's got to the bit that he actually wanted to do, which is controlling the weather.
I mean, his computer teacher from the early scene would be like, "How are you making those lights come to life, Gus?
How are you doing these impossible things?"
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just typed in make traffic light people come to life in it.
Yeah, that is what he did, right? We know that's how computers work in this movie.
But why did he type that? Why did he type
You're
that?
supposed to be controlling. I'm a bit drunk. I just
Isn't he?
missed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He gets wasted as well, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Richard Pryor's doing some amazing drunk acting in these scenes. He's really good. The script is ridiculous, wonderfully ridiculous, but Richard Pryor is amazing in this movie. And I will not hear anyone say that he shouldn't be in a Superman movie, because he should and Superman shouldn't.
Oh yeah, I mean, Superman 3 would be ridiculous if Richard Pryor wasn't in it.
It would be awful.
He saves it
Yeah.
because everything that happens is stupid.
If you don't have a good comedy actor in it, then it's just stupid. All right, cut 2. Another wonderful, iconic, and confusingly pointless scene in this movie. Napoleon Solo is skiing on the roof of his skyscraper, just having a little ski on a building and chatting about how much he enjoys being rich and evil. All right, now Gus arrives. While they're skiing, Gus arrives, and I'd like to point out that Gus is wearing normal shoes. And we know he's wearing normal shoes because there's lots of long shots of him wearing normal shoes. And, you know, why wouldn't he be wearing normal shoes? He just came from the street. It would be weird if Gus wasn't wearing normal shoes, okay? Let's remember, he's got normal shoes on. So Gus tells them that Superman foiled their brilliant ruin the coffee by controlling the weather plan.
Yeah.
And, of course, he demonstrates exactly what Superman did while wearing a tablecloth as a cape.
Yeah.
Because the makers of this movie have correctly assumed that given a choice between a boring action sequence where Superman flies around and blows clouds, or just Richard Pryor in a tablecloth doing a bit, we'll take Richard Pryor every time. Well done, movie. You chose wisely. At first you're like, why are they... This is a Superman movie. Why aren't I seeing Superman do things? Why has Richard Pryor got a tablecloth on and being stupid? And then you're like, hang on. No, this is better. This is much better.
Yeah, you really will believe it. You really will believe a man can fly after this scene. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Pryor really sells it. Okay. Because the actual flying scenes are not that convincing. I didn't believe a man could fly until Gus Gorman put that tablecloth on.
He turns up to kind of like say, oh, the plan didn't work because Superman fixed everything. Superman dried the entirety of South America with his laser eyes. Is what he says. That's what he says, right?
He blew a tornado up into to the top of the clouds, and then he dried the coffee using his breath.
Yeah.
Of the coffee of Colombia.
Okay, did he dried it with his breath?
I think so. I don't know, something like that.
I'm sure
Maybe his breath. I can't remember.
I'm sure there's like a clip of him on the TV, like lasering some coffee beans or something. And I'm thinking, like, you know, like all of them.
Yeah, every coffee bean in all of Colombia, a big country. All right, so Napoleon Solo is annoyed by this because you know he wanted to kill all that coffee, and now he hasn't. All right, so he decides if he can't kill the coffee, he's going to kill Superman.
Good plan.
And he needs kryptonite to kill Superman because, you know, how to kill Superman is just common knowledge. It's just things that people know.
It is, isn't it?
But unfortunately, there is no kryptonite anywhere on Earth. So Napoleon Solo tells Gus to use his computer to search space for some. You know, Gus, can you search space with your computer? Can you just search space for a rock? Is that a thing?
Amazing.
He uses a computer to search space.
Yeah.
And when he finds the rock, it analyzes it and tells him what it's made of.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
search space. And of course, because it's Gus, he types in search space for kryptonite, and it does.
Recreate kryptonite, please.
Anyway, while all this is happening, Gus is like wandering around, like on the ski slope, and he's like looking at some abandoned skis for quite a while. He's wandering around some skis, like ominously, and then he steps into the skis, which is just a normal thing that a person might do. And you might be thinking, hey, you can't just attach skis to regular shoes because skis just fall straight off regular shoes. And I know Gus is wearing regular shoes because you said it like 8 times just now. And we've seen it in like loads of shots. It's been firmly established that Gus is wearing regular shoes. But don't worry, because the movie makers thought of this, because Gus is now magically wearing ski boots that appeared out of nowhere. And just to make sure you know this, there's a close-up of his feet wearing the ski boots that he definitely wasn't wearing a minute ago.
He probably got the weather satellite probably did it.
It must be, because they're definitely not Napoleon Solo ski boots left in the skis, because Napoleon Solo is still wearing his, and they keep showing his feet as well to make sure that you're not confused that Gus has the superpower of growing ski boots out of his feet, and he just used that superpower when we weren't watching. Unfortunately, and perhaps ironically, he doesn't also have the superpower of being able to ski, which we know from his next line, which is, I can't ski. And he says this just before he skis off the roof of a skyscraper, falls 100 stories, lands on a sloping glass roof and is absolutely fine, which he then skis down the glass roof onto the plate. I mean, it sounds like you can ski pretty fucking well to me, Gus. Seems like you can ski so well you defy basic laws of physics. He's got skiing superpowers. He's got ski gravity that makes him float down a building.
It's amazing.
Now, obviously, I've said this many times, but the most shocking thing about this scene is that this is a film about a flying man. And it's also a film which, at the end, Gus needs to be the weak link in the villain's plan, because Gus has sympathy for Superman. He is the only one of the bad guys who feels sympathy for Superman. So he's the reason that Superman doesn't get murdered at the end, because Gus is worried about him. Although, at the moment, Gus has no reason to care about Superman because he's never met him, never encountered him, never had anything to do with him. So, like, what would be really good in this movie, what would be really handy, is if, I don't know, maybe Superman did something nice for Gus, like helped him out in some way,
what are you thinking?
I don't know, like maybe he could catch him when he falls off a skyscraper. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Because it's about a flying man, and you've written in a scene where a non-flying man, a regular man, skis off a building and then falls onto the street. So wouldn't it be useful to all the things in your script if Superman saved him? And also, Superman's not in the movie at this point. He's just like dicking around in Smallville. So it'd be great if he could be there. But no, the writer said, no, I think I'll just have him land on a glass roof and be okay.
Yes.
Like a regular human. He could fall 100 stories and then walk off, still wearing his skis and whistling. That'd be fine. It's a film about a flying man, and you just cut him from the big Columbia action scene and got Richard Pryor in a tablecloth to reenact it, right? It might be good to see Superman in action at this point, right? No, Superman's not in it. Richard Pryor skis off a building and lands and is fine because he's wearing skis.
I think the deal is that, like you said, the writers have watched the first 2 movies, and what they're trying to do is not do anything Superman's done before. I mean, Superman's always catching people who fall off things, so they're going, we're going to surprise everyone. Superman's not going to catch him when he falls off. And then they're like, well, how do we resolve it?
Double surprise, he's just fine. He's just fine. That's a twist, isn't it? That's a twist.
Can he land? Is there a big mattress truck passing by he can land
glass
on?
Roof. Glass roof. Does the glass smash?
Break?
No, it's fine.
No, it's fine.
Slides off it and then walks away. Pretty great scene, hey?
Amazing.
Anyway, so I've got some taglines for you, right? Because this movie doesn't seem to have a tagline, so I wrote some new ones. Because we all know the famous tagline for Superman 1 is "You'll believe a man can fly."
Yes,
amazing tagline. Superman 2, "You'll believe 3 men and a woman can fly." Right. And Superman 3, "You'll believe a man can fall off a building and be just fine for no reason."
Yeah. I mean, you believe a lot of things with this film, right?
You'll believe a weather satellite can bring lights to life.
Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world. Worst writer in the world.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Worst Writer in the World. If you would like more stuff by us, including Gret Binchleaf books, we're working on book 9 at the moment. Gret Binchleaf short stories, Man by Cow episodes, extended Worst Writer episodes, The Secret Gang podcast, and just like an enormous amount for just $2 because I still haven't got around to deleting all the old stuff. It's just loads of stuff's available at the moment. Go and check it out, patreon.com/manbycow for as little as $2 a month. It's a bargain. You won't regret it.
Ooh, it's a bloody bargain.
We'll be back next week with the final part of our retelling of Superman 3. But I should warn you, that doesn't mean it's the last episode about Superman 3. Because there is one more after. There is an episode 4 as well. But we'll talk about that next week. So go and watch Superman 3 again in preparation for next week's episode.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, milk.
Bye-bye, milk.
He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer. Yeah.